I'm not afraid of death, because I think I've lived pretty good.
No shit. I'm a monster too.
It's time for you to prove yourself. When jumping into designing a game from the very beginning, either there's a theme that I really like and I want to figure out mechanics that like allow the game to support players in exploring, or there's a really cool mechanic that I like the way that it works and I figure out a theme that maps onto that. With something like Candela, the game came to me with really strong creative IP. When I came in, the ideas had already been developed and like a theme and tone was already established for the IP, and my job was to find mechanics that reinforced that. And luckily we had the Illuminated Worlds in development already. And so I looked at that system and found a way to take the mechanics that they were building out and make them work for the game that we're playing here. These creatures from beyond the flare, we're not quite sure what their motives are. During the development of the game, we were already in production on the first chapter of Candela. So there are things that were being built as the first chapter was being filmed. And I think that having that kind of flexibility to watch what happens and let people explore and then adapt based on what is happening on screen is a really fun challenge. Matt really had to make some calls in the moment because we didn't have a full rule book that spelled out every edge case yet. And Matt's incredible, so he was able to do that. And I was really lucky in that in chapter 2, I had spent the last 6 months building out the rulebook for the game. So I came in with an ingrained knowledge of the way in which the game was supposed to work, and that helped to be able to make calls on the fly.
I loom out of the shadows. Annie B.
Focus your rage towards me.
One example that I'll give is there was PvP in our season.
And I'm gonna crack the butt of the rifle over her head.
So as I see that he's about to lunge, I want to take the knife and jab it in his neck.
And PvP specifically in the book it says that is not part of this game. If you're going to make it part of the game, it is up to you to adjudicate exactly how that plays out. And so during the show, I made some calls about how it would work. We're gonna reverse the results this time. Meaning that on 6s, both of you take down each other.
Cool. 6. Oh!
Triple 6s.
Session zeros for me are really about getting all the players and myself on the same page. So that means a lot of things, right? But mostly it means we have conversations about what we're interested in. I know from the kinds of characters they've chosen to play automatically what they're interested in, at least in some rough form. And then based on their backstory, I get a little deeper into what they're each interested in, because they are basically flying a flag saying, this is what I like. So by the end of the session 0, I look to have at least a rough idea of like, what are the themes of the campaign going to be, and what are the initial concepts for the characters, and how can I take one or two of those, find a place where they cross over, and then use that as the jumping off point for the campaign. We are going to build our story here together. We have 3 episodes. What kind of story do you want to tell? And that, I found, freed the players up a little bit to be able to bring their own ideas to the table.
I reach my hands out, and the instruments made out of space appear. Without even thinking, my hands move at a record speed with precise stability to quickly sew the rift in reality firmly closed. I would dare say it's my finest work.
I have many opportunities to bring my own ideas and my own direction to the game, but I am not in a vacuum where I am having to build everything on my own and have to hope that my players are on board. I knew that Travis was going to push the rest of the team to go on that first mission despite the fact that they were all hurt, because I put somebody in that mission that mattered to him.
Use your gifts. I will have your back.
By taking the information that he gave me and just using it, I allowed him to have a really cool heroic character moment of like, no, we have to do this thing and I'll explain to you why. But that comes from listening to the players and then integrating what they have talked about, what they're excited about into the game you're playing. One of the things that comes to mind for me that I try and focus on whenever I'm running a game, especially over the course of a campaign, is I'll try and find a moment where somebody does something, somebody makes something up that seemed trivial at the time. And it was entirely their idea, they did the thing, it happened, and then later pay it off with it actually mattering because that tells them that I'm listening to them. For example, there were chickens in episode 1. I just described some chickens being transported on a train. Zara was convinced that they had something magical about them, and she rolled sense.
Before we move forward, could I take a moment to see if I can focus on these chickens and see if there's anything to be gained from their beady eyes?
And I was like, yeah, we're gonna yes and it. As you come down to inspect them, you notice that there is like a wattle that is down below there. You notice that they're like just slightly glowing. Something's not quite right.
I do believe these animals were the subject of an experiment.
She was so excited that they could possibly be magical chickens that I made them magical chickens. And then I took those and incorporated them into episode 3.
Could we look and see if there's anything living nearby other than
You
Beyond
hear a
speed?
cluck in the back.
On principle, no. I refuse.
There's a reason.
refuse.
This is where you draw the line?
This is where
This is the life
You gotta draw it somewhere, Marion. You gotta draw it somewhere.
That collaborative nature tells people that what they do and what they say matters. And that makes it so that they don't feel like they're existing in a vacuum. It's a collaborative storytelling experience across the board. So a lot of times players will come up with a core concept during your session 0 where you all sit down together, and then they'll send you emails or text messages of other ideas that they have or other things they want to incorporate. You want all of that because all of that tells you what they've gone home and like gotten so excited that they've written you about, right? So Travis sent me a big, long narrative explanation of how he got into Candela.
You can count on me to answer this call.
He spent all this time writing up a thing. If all of that just sits in the background, then it's all for naught. Like, let's get that on screen. He gave me a monster that essentially was like trying to take on the form of other people. And he gave me the idea that Alison Suarez was hurt because of this monster.
Kingsley, one more thing. I know it's not my place to ask. Has Allison been made aware?
He just gave me all the gifts in his backstory, and that's the kind of thing where as a GM you just go like, well, guess my work here is done.
Beatrix, you've been with the organization longer than any, and I've looped my men into this with a certain amount of trust. Have you ever seen anyone marked by bleed, changed? Have you ever seen them made whole, amended?
I tend to find sometimes the best route is to just keep your mouth shut and your eyes open.
It was really cool to see Marisha take on what was essentially like a motherly role to most of the characters.
You can't put all this on you. And please, call me Auntie B.
She's just so incredibly talented and it's so smart about the moments that she gets involved. It is very difficult to play a support character that knows when to get involved in scenes and when to not.
You can't save everyone, and that's not your fault.
Zara's incredible. Zara came in so excited and brought an enthusiasm and a precision that was unmatched by almost any other player I've ever played with.
There's something wrong with my hand. Pull off my glove. And where the tips of my fingers on my left hand used to be are little tendrils of blue flame. It's very hot. And I'm horrified, but then I'm fascinated.
She chose to play a doctor and did such a good job of like really embodying what that meant while also creating this really cool juxtaposition between science and magic that the game asks questions about inherently, but that it was really nice to have a player at the table that embodied that. Like they were the metaphor of the game itself in some ways.
Breathe. You know this.
It's just surgery.
It's just surgery.
Playing with Brennan is a gift. It's an absolute gift. Brennan is a GM's dream because he brings so much to the table and he is not afraid to go there.
They were good guys. And I don't think the people who killed them ever knew that. Open your mouth. And I'm going to shove the baseball into his mouth. Take the chair leg. Bum, 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 bum. Bat is up.
Sitting down to play with him and knowing that I can trust him to carry a scene, if I just plug him in somewhere, or if I turn to him and ask him a question, I know he's gonna have an answer. And I know Brennan's ability exceeds any other human on the planet to be able to monologue. So like, I want to give him the chance to do cool moments like that and set him up to have the things that I know he does so well.
Everyone wants to take care of me. I don't know if it's obvious enough to you, B. I'm doing a lot of the taking care of around here. The last thing I need is anyone to come fucking take care of me.
Playing with him reminds me of why we sit down and tell stories together. Luis is one of those people that finds heart in every character that he plays in a way that I haven't seen anybody else ever do.
And I feel something pull me. Something that I feel like must have been tugging at me for a long time.
Every scene I play with him and every character he runs, I watch him bring this like just true, honest, real heart to a character. Those two things, the like unfeeling, cold horrors of this genre colliding with a character that has so much heart to them, really makes the story more interesting than one without the other.
I feel whole. I love what I'm becoming. And I take my hand and I reach into the space right in front of me and I tear another rift.
When I run games, I usually black out. And it's only on like reflection that I'm able to remember what's happening. I don't, when I'm in the moment, we're just playing. When I was asked to run Candela Chapter 2, I really had to like trust myself that same thing that always happens when I run games would happen. And then trust the players at the table that they are going to also support everything that we're doing together. But it felt like it was enough in that moment for us at the table. We all felt satisfied. We all felt like we told a story that we were proud of, that we were excited by, that pushed the limits of the game, that pushed the limits of narrative storytelling. And that's all I can really ask for.